Imagine Beijing 2019, a room thick with tension. Chinese diplomats are hunched over dossiers as Washington's latest tariffs hit tech exports. The air crackles, two giants locked in an economic tango where every move ripples across global markets. But this is just the surface. Underneath, the rules of economic diplomacy are changing fast. What if I told you the old playbook is outdated and power is shifting in ways you didn't see coming? The world isn't just about old allies anymore. China, India, and others are rewriting the playbook, challenging decades of G7 dominance. This clash shakes the foundations of global deals and alliances. Back in 2015, China stunned the world by launching the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Unlike traditional Western-led institutions, AIIB rallied over 50 countries, signaling Beijing's appetite for a bigger role. Yet trade tensions and internal economic hiccups forced recalibration. It's not just a smooth rise, it's messy, strategic, and deeply political. Think of international economic negotiations like a chessboard. But instead of two players, you have dozens, each with their own pieces, moves, and secret tactics. States juggle domestic pressures and global ambitions, dodging opponents' gambits while setting traps. This layered game demands more than brute economic power. It demands savvy, patience, and sometimes bluffing. The payoff? The old map of global economic influence is redrawn. Emerging powers no longer sit quietly in the back rows. They're the ones who decide which trade deals get signed and which ones stall. This shift fragments old alliances and forces the G7 to rethink their approach or risk irrelevance in a fast-evolving economic democracy. Forget the WTO as the main stage. Instead, regional and plurilateral deals dominate the scene. These side bets reveal how nations protect interests and navigate fractured global negotiations. The Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP) is a textbook example. When the U.S. pulled out in 2017, 12 countries carried on, creating a deep, high-standard trade bloc. This regional pact showcases how nations bypass gridlocked global forums, aiming for pragmatic wins that reflect shared regional interests. Picture a spider's web dangling over the global market. Each strand is a trade agreement with its own rules, tariffs, and exceptions. Countries often belong to several webs simultaneously, creating tension and opportunities, but also confusion and conflict. Negotiators must navigate this tangled mess carefully to avoid getting caught in their own web. The payoff? Multilateralism's star dims as nations shift focus inward or regionally. Without consensus from 190-plus countries, grand designs stall and economic diplomacy becomes a patchwork quilt, uneven but workable. This fragmentation forces negotiators to think more flexibly and locally, changing the essence of how deals get done. International deals aren't made in a vacuum. Domestic actors, their voters, industries, and politics, now dominate the decision-making landscape. This crushing internal weight changes everything. Take the Eurozone crisis as a cautionary tale. European leaders weren't just battling markets or other countries, they wrestled fierce opposition at home. German austerity advocates, Greek protesters, and EU bureaucrats created a complex domestic chessboard where compromises had steep political costs, delaying solutions and heightening tensions. Imagine negotiators as tightrope walkers, balancing on a wire strung between global ambitions and noisy home crowds. Interest groups, industries fearing competition, labor unions protecting jobs, nationalist politicians stoking fears, yell from below. The rope wobbles, forcing leaders to slow down or rethink risky agreement steps, illustrating the fragility of international deals under domestic strain. The transformation, international economic diplomacy is less about grand unified plans, more about messy, staggered outcomes shaped by local forces. The domestic first axis now often dictates the rhythm and even the possibility of negotiations, fragmenting what used to look like tidy global strategies. Remember that tension-filled room in Beijing? The shifting power of rising nations, the tangled web of trade agreements, and the fierce domestic battles behind closed doors all converge there. Economic diplomacy today is a complex dance where the players and rules constantly change. So next time you hear about trade deals or tariffs, try this. Think beyond the headlines, peek into the messy human and political stories that actually shape those decisions. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.